Now another story that brings together culture and history. 4 years after German officials uncovered a treasure trove of art in an apartment in Munich, some of it looted by the Nazis during Second World War, 2 museums have decided to exhibit the works. The Fine Arts Museum in Bern, Switzerland and Bonn, Germany are looking to hold shows next winter, but they're running into legal troubles. I24 News reporter Maya Margit with the story.
Museums in Switzerland and Germany are planning a big reveal. The first ever exhibitions of hundreds of artworks once owned by Cornelius Gurlitt. Gurlitt was a reclusive art collector whose father Hildebrand worked as a powerful Nazi-era art dealer. Adolf Hitler tasked him with helping to plunder great works from museums and Jewish collectors, many of whom perished in the gas chambers. 4 years ago, more than 1,500 artworks, including pieces by Cézanne, Picasso and Chagall, were discovered at 2 homes he owned in Germany. Before he died in 2014, Gurlitt willed his collection to the Kunstmuseum Bern in Switzerland, which accepted the controversial hoard and aims to hold a show in tandem with a museum in Bonn next winter.
We are confident, as is the Bern Museum, that the final wishes of Cornelius Gurlitt have been respected, as shown by our experts.
There are about 20 really fantastic classic and modern works. We still don't know how many of them will make it back to Bern, or if the suspicions that they are stolen will be ruled out, but they will be included in the permanent collection.
But the collection remains in legal limbo, and so no firm date can be set for the 2 shows. German media reported on Monday that one of Gurlitt's cousins, Ute Werner, has contested the art collector's soundness of mind when he wrote the will naming the Bern Museum as his sole heir. She lost the initial case, but her appeal is still pending. During the Third Reich, the Nazis carried out large-scale cultural looting across Europe, and many stolen artworks are still unaccounted for today. It is estimated that thousands of masterpieces were stolen. Gurlitt's collection alone is said to be worth more than $1 billion.
Yes, and our reporter Maya Margit joins me in studio now. Maya, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Maya, it seems very controversial for these museums to be interested in displaying these works of art, considering their history.
Exactly, and the way the museums are defending the decision is basically they're saying that if we put these artworks on display, people can see them and then they can find out if those artworks were stolen from their grandparents by the Nazis. So it's basically, that's their defense, but the German government is also trying to quell the controversy, and just 3 days ago they decided to publish photos of the Gurlitt collection so that people can now go online and look at pictures of the artworks and try to figure out if it maybe belonged to their family members. But of course, the history of Nazi-looted art is quite complex, and museums all around Europe have hundreds and hundreds of stolen artworks, but it's very, very hard to prove the case.
Well, this highlights the next big question, of course, Maya, is how can people really prove if this art is stolen or that it belongs to their families and ancestors?
Well, there's this really famous art database online. It's called the Art Loss Register, and it's a computerized database, but there are hundreds of thousands of artworks, antiques, and different kinds of items that people can look at and try to figure out if maybe something belonged to their family members. Of course, what happens after they find out that it belongs to their family members is another story entirely, because then you get into legal proceedings, which are quite complicated and very difficult.
And speaking of legal proceedings, Maya, you touched on this in your report. The legal battle now ongoing in this context, is it too early to tell how this will end?
I'm fairly certain that this legal battle is going to take years. There was another legal battle that just 3 days ago was resolved, also on Nazi-looted art, but this time in Austria. It took the woman whose grandmother's artwork it was over almost 2 decades to prove to the courts that the artwork in fact belonged to her grandmother, and it was from the Leopold Museum in Austria. In the end, there were 5 drawings that apparently belonged to her, but even then, even after she proved her case, the museum refused to give her back the 5 drawings. They gave her only 2 out of 5, and the other 3 they decided to keep. And they called this decision basically a King Solomon decision, where they divided everything in half. And that was the resolution. So I think it's premature for these museums to be planning these exhibitions, because it is quite unlikely that the legal case with Ute Werner, Gurlitt's cousin, will be resolved very soon.
You know, Maya, it's amazing that despite all the time that passed since the Nazis took Germany and the Jewish Holocaust, art is still keeping this story alive. Art is still bringing the story again to the headlines, and we hear about this more and more every year. This is another development which you brought for us today. Thank you very much for joining me in the studio for this discussion.
Thank you.